I didn't keep the bicycle in a place of honor. It leaned against the wall in the narrow space between the laundry sink and the back door. Its bell dulled, its tires half soft. I passed it every morning without touching it. That was the arrangement I'd made with myself, close enough to remember, far enough not to collapse. My father rode it until his knees gave up. He used to wipe the frame with a rag after evening prayers, the way some people smooth a tablecloth before sitting. When he died, there wasn't much to distribute. The bicycle came to me without ceremony, like a sentence that didn't need explaining. I never told my wife what it meant. Not really. I said it was old. I said it still worked. I said I'd fix it someday. She nodded the way people nod when they are already walking away. The day it disappeared, I noticed the space before I noticed the absence. A pale rectangle on the wall where dust hadn't settled. The sound of the house felt different, as if something had been removed that had been holding the echo in place. She told me at dinner, between remarks about the gas bill and her son's tuition. Sold it. A man from the next district. Cash. She laughed because she thought the story was simple. My son needs money, she said. Why keep trash? The word hit like a dropped plate. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask how much. I just stared at my hands and felt the old grief move, the way a dormant injury wakes when the weather changes. Her son is not a bad person. He is young, restless, convinced that urgency is the same thing as importance. I've helped when I could. I've stayed quiet when I couldn't. Blended families teach you to measure your words like medication. That night, I slept badly. I dreamed of my father pedaling uphill, turning to wave, the bicycle frame bending as if it were made of warm metal. When I woke, the house was already busy with ordinary noises. No one asked me how I felt. I didn't offer. Days passed. I went to work. I came home. I washed the dishes. Grief has a way of becoming administrative when it's not allowed to speak. On the fourth afternoon, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number. The voice on the other end was careful, respectful, as if he were calling about a mistake on a form. "Sir," he said, "I bought an old bicycle from your wife. While cleaning it, I found something inside the frame. I think you need to come here right now." I didn't ask what it was. I didn't tell my wife where I was going. I took my keys and left the house the way you leave a meeting early, quietly, with the sense that you are allowed to go. The buyer lived above a pharmacy, the kind with a calendar from last year still taped to the window. He met me on the landing, holding the bicycle like an apology. The frame had been open near the seat post. The cut was neat. "I almost didn't see it," he said. It rattled. Inside the hollow tube was a bundle wrapped in oilcloth. Old currency folded thin. A paper yellowed and stiff. A small key. The paper was dated 23 years ago, signed by my father. He had sold a plot of land no one remembered, saved the money where no one would look. The key belonged to a safety box at a local cooperative bank, one that still existed, still kept records. The buyer didn't touch the contents. He stood back while I read. Authority entered the room not with uniforms or raised voices but with dates, stamps, and the gravity of things written down. Value reasserted itself quietly. "I didn't know," he said. "I'm sorry." I nodded. I paid him for the bicycle. He refused at first. I insisted. Transactions matter. They close doors properly. At the bank, the clerk verified the paper with a phone call and a ledger that smelled like dust and ink. The box contained deeds and receipts, enough to be indisputable. Enough to shift a conversation that hadn't yet happened. When I returned home, it was evening. My wife was in the kitchen, her son at the table, books spread like excuses. I placed the envelope on the counter. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. "This was inside the bicycle," I said. "It belonged to my father." They looked at the papers the way people look at weather they hadn't expected. My wife's face changed, not with remorse exactly, but with recalculation. Her son stared at the numbers and swallowed. I told them what I planned to do. I would use part of it to settle an old loan my father had worried over. I would set aside something for emergencies. I would help with tuition on terms that respected timelines and accountability, and I would keep the rest untouched for now. No one laughed. There was silence afterward. Not the dramatic kind, the kind that forces everyone to hear themselves think. Authority didn't punish anyone. It didn't need to. It clarified. Later, when the dishes were done, my wife stood in the doorway and said she hadn't known. I said I hadn't told her. We stood there with the truth between us, uneven and real. Boundaries are often discovered after they're crossed. The bicycle now rests where it always did, repaired, the cut smoothed but visible. I pass it every morning. Sometimes I touch the bell. Sometimes I don't. Grief remains what it is, persistent, private, unwilling to perform. But something else has settled alongside it, a quiet knowledge that respect can be restored without spectacle, that dignity doesn't require revenge, only clarity and the patience to let facts speak when words fail. I don't know what our family will become. I know only that the wall is no longer blank, and the space holds more than dust.